Indeed. Thanks so much, Anne-Marie. And I heard you just mention Bill 21. It really is omnipresent, part of almost every single political conversation across this country, even though it is a law specific to the province of Quebec. So we're going to delve into that right now with CTV political analyst and former head of the federal New Democratic Party, Thomas Mulcair. Great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Before we talk about Bill 21, let's talk about sort of the psyche of the Quebec people, because a lot of people outside of Quebec don't necessarily understand it. This is a people who are at the tip of the sword for so many social issues.
Yes.
They will march for the climate,
yes,
for gay rights. They will march for labor rights.
Absolutely.
And yet when it comes to this one issue, they seem to swing completely in the other direction.
Yeah.
Why is that?
That was one of Mr. Scheer's biggest problems, was understanding that difference. Economically, as you know, Quebecers tend to be very prudent. So Mr. Scheer would look at that saying, oh, they like us in Quebec City. They're all voting Conservative. So it doesn't matter that on abortion, I don't have a clear answer. Yes, it did matter, and it hurt him dearly in this election campaign in Quebec. And on immigration and identity issues, Quebecers view themselves as a separate people, separate nation, and they want to be able to affirm their own identity. Bill 21 is a manifestation of that, as Bill 101 was back in the 1970s. That law, of course, discriminates, and it is being challenged right now in the courts. The big question during the campaign was, is any one of the federal leaders actually going to stand up and say, a government under my leadership would intervene in the courts, would represent the rights of those Canadians whose rights are being taken away, and my Attorney General would be there to defend the Charter of Rights? None of them has said that clearly.
None has said that clearly, but the person perhaps who's closest is federal Liberal leader Justin Trudeau,
yes,
who says he might intervene.
I guess that makes him the mighty Mr. Trudeau.
The mighty Mr. Trudeau. Now, we had Chrystia Freeland on our show because Mr. Trudeau was unable or unwilling to come on the show, and we put the question to her, what would be required for that might to turn into a will? And we didn't get a clear answer.
You didn't get a clear answer because the court case is on.
Yeah.
They were there last summer. They needed the help of the government of Canada. Going back to the 1980s, there was a big fight over Bill 101's Quebec clause for the right to attend English school in Quebec versus the Canada clause, guaranteed under the Constitution. Of course the federal government was involved defending the Charter of Rights. Mr. Trudeau tried to have it both ways, signaling, for example, to the rest of Canada, I'm the only one who says he might get involved. Here in Quebec, all that got him was getting beaten up by François Legault the next morning, the Premier of Quebec.
Now, what about Jagmeet Singh? He's had to thread a very delicate needle as well.
He says that he's a walking advertisement against what Bill 21 represents. There we go again, because the two come together. But he says he's a walking advertisement against that. But it's not really about him. It's about the young Muslim woman who's finishing her teaching college here in Montreal, who's being told, you're going to have to go to another province. Yeah. Or the young Sikh man who wants to do police training here in Montreal and is being told, well, you're going to have to go to Ottawa or join the RCMP if you want to work as a police officer, because it's illegal to hire you here in Quebec with your turban. Mr. Singh has, by his engaging attitude, his charisma, brought in a lot of Quebecers to understand that it's not what's on his head, it's what's in his head that counts. But at the same time, at some point, you have to stand up for rights.
And Andrew Scheer has staked his claim to, this is a provincial jurisdiction, we're going to respect.
His war room, when I asked them about it early on, they were actually pushing out his earliest quote from the beginning of the campaign in Trois-Rivières, where he said this is entirely Quebec jurisdiction, and he supported Quebec's right to have that legislation, which I found really surprising.
All right, well, this is something that's going to be, I have a feeling that even after this election, Bill 21 is going to loom its head federally, so we're going to rely on you to help us out on that.
I think we're going to be counting votes well into Tuesday morning, Ben.
Tom Mulcair, thank you so much for joining us.
Great to see you.
Thanks for watching. If you like this, be sure to subscribe here.
And you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.